Good day. Good afternoon.
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 Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are about to begin our workshop shortly.
இதுல கேலரி வியூன்னு வரும், எப்படி வரல அதுல?
Hello, Miss Grant. Hi, how are you? Good afternoon, everybody. Is Mr. Basarali here?
Good afternoon, I'm here.
Okay, I'm not sure now. Hi, welcome, everybody.
Thank you for the welcome, Miss.
Yes. Okay, it's a CXC workshop. I don't know how long the Zoom will allow us, but let us see how well we can get through the different aspects of the SBA. And I'm not sure now, Brown. One of the person on the flyer, Miss Grant is present. Mr. Basarali is also here. He will take you through most of the aspect of the SBA. I'm one of the facilitators. Welcome. Are you ready, Mr. Basarali?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Thank you. Just go ahead. Miss Grant, we're not hearing you. Your microphone is on mute.
Good afternoon again. So, Mr. Basarale has been a teacher for over 10 years, and he currently teaches at Princestown West Secondary School, and that's in Trinidad. He has a diploma and a bachelor's degree from the West Indies, St. Augustine, and he also has a master's. Mr. Basarale has been a assistant chief for English B from 2018. He is very meticulous. He is very helpful, and he does not hesitate when you ask for help. And he will take us through this evening. I am sure without a doubt that you all will learn and you will benefit from this presentation. I now hand over to Mr. Basarale.
Thank you very much for that exceedingly kind and excessive introduction. So before I start, I'll start correctly by firstly thanking our facilitators, Ms. Nashona Brown and Ms. Shanake Brown Grant, also the high schools involved, Port Bogle High School and Edwin Allen High School, and not to forget our ICT staff who is making all this possible today. I normally start a presentation online with asking the participants to please briefly put on your cameras if you're able to, so we could actually see each other before we get into the work of the day. So if you're able to, could you please put on your camera for about a minute?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's good to see faces behind the names. So let's go straight into our work for the day. Just a bit quick reminder. Please ensure that your device is plugged in and charging in case your battery power is low. I don't want anyone device dying on them. And also mute your mics so that we won't have any feedback and everyone will hear and have a comfortable experience. So let's get into the work of today. So once again, welcome to the CSEC English SBA Workshop, kindly facilitated by the staff at Bogle High School and Edwin Allen High School. Firstly, let's look at what we're going to do today, what we plan to do. We're going to look at the layout of the English SBA. We are going to understand what is required for 3 parts in particular: the plan of investigation, the 3 reflections, and your group written report. While we are looking at these 3 parts is because in the moderation exercise, these are the 3 parts that we at CXC look at to compare the marks of the teacher and also to look and see if you, the student, are doing the correct thing. First thing, let me just mention your cover page. Your cover page is very important. As you know, you would have heard, CXC intends to collect all SBAs again this year for moderation. Sometimes we have a little problem where a student's file or SBA is mislabeled. So we have a candidate number, but the SBA doesn't match that. So please make sure you have your correct candidate name, candidate number, center name, center number, year of examination, teacher, subject, topic, and territory. This is needed so that in case we see a difference in something being mislabeled, we know whose SBA this belongs to, so that you could get your mark and get your grade, etc. And of course, you are free to take screenshots, take notes, etc. The information of this is normally given to you about a month or so before your exam, so about a little earlier than that. So don't worry. If you're missing anything, you will get it. Let's look at our first part, the plan of investigation, the very first thing you write in your SBA. This part of the SBA is 10 marks, which is then divided by 2 to give a mark out of 5. This is the breakdown. The first thing that you need to do is, obviously, you will have to state your topic and your subtopic. You need to state your topic and your subtopic. Right after that, you have to give the reason for choosing the topic. Why did you choose your subtopic? One of the things that we have noticed is that some people just write, I find this topic interesting. If you write, I find this topic interesting, you will not get 3 marks, you will get 1 mark. You have to give a decent, okay, so just again a reminder, if your mic is on, could you please mute it? Right. Do I have that option? No. All right. So if you have, I find this topic interesting, you only get in 1 mark. You should have something more developed than that. So for example, you could say something such as, I would like to know of ways to prevent bullying. I would like to investigate ways to live a healthier lifestyle. Or I have noticed many students doing drugs and I would like to stop this problem. Something a little more will give you 3 marks. The next thing you have to write is the expected benefits to you as a student of English. These are the English skills which are based on the syllabus. Your teacher will help you and give you a list of the skills that will be relevant. So I have some here, some of the skills we expect to see: summary writing, persuasive writing, persuasive speaking, expanded vocabulary. You could even have analysis of literary devices, editing. Those are English skills. Now, if you put something such as knowledge of the topic or research skills, you will not get the 3 marks, because research skills could be for any subject. Every subject has research skills. Every subject has knowledge of the topic. So you need to make sure you have an actual English skill. So please be aware of that. And some of our English skills, just remember your paper two. What do your paper two ask you? Summary skills, editing skills, persuasive writing, persuasive speaking, vocabulary, etc. Just remember the skills you get from paper two. Then you have to state the material to be collected. This is for 2 marks. 1 mark is the genre of your artifacts. You just state what type of artifact are you having. Is it a song, a poem, a short story, a play, and the list goes on and on. An article, a poster, lyrics of a song, etc. You just have to state what type of artifact you're going. Of course, you have 3 artifacts, so you must give me 3 things. That's for 1 mark. The second mark will be for where did you get your information from. You should have at least 2 sources. Now remember, students, this is a plan. If you do not get your source from a particular, from the internet, for example, get it from a textbook, that's not a problem because this is your plan. It could change. So your sources would be things such as a newspaper, internet, textbooks, pamphlets, a journal, a magazine, anything. Just have a minimum of 2 and 2 different ones. And finally, you are required to state where will your English skills be used in the SBA. Right? I know the wording of that from the syllabus, for those of you who have looked at the syllabus, is a bit confusing, but to simplify it, what they are asking you here is simply stating, you mentioned your English skills before. Where will you be using that in the SBA? So some of you would have probably finished your SBA already. Where did you use your summary writing skills? Obviously, you use it in your reflections. You use it in your group report. Just state that. Where would you be using your persuasive writing skills? Your oral presentation. Where will be using your persuasive speaking skills? Oral presentation again. Where will you be getting better vocabulary? Your reflections, your written report. Where will you be able to analyze literary devices? Your reflections, in fact, reflection 2 in particular. Where will you develop your editing skills? In fact, the entire SBA, your plan of investigation, your reflections, your written report. That's all you have to do. State where did your skills, where are your skills you mentioned before, your English skills, where are they being used in the SBA? And that is all you have to do. Some tips before I go on regarding your artifacts is that please make sure that your artifacts are of a significant length. Because if you have an artifact which is a paragraph long, the chances are you getting a language strategy to talk about is going to be difficult. Also, make sure your artifact has a clear language strategy. Make sure you could see your language strategy in your artifact clearly. Do not have yourself struggling to find it when you're going to write your reflection. If it's not there clearly, don't bother to use it. And this is very important. Please note the author of your artifact, the source, where did it come from? Is it which book, which magazine, which website, and the year of publication, right? I just want to mention something again about your plan of investigation. It is 100 words. It must be 100 words. If it is over 100 words, we will only mark the first 100 words and stop reading afterwards. So if you have piece of your answer over the 100, guess what? You will not get the mark. We will only mark what is in the first 100 words. At this moment, before I show you a sample of a plan of investigation, I will allow my fellow facilitators to please add anybody. Anything to what was said before. Anything from the facilitators before we continue?
No, I'm not sure in here. Hassan, you
Yes?
basically said everything. I was waiting for you to add the word limit, but you came back and you said it.
Sure.
That's basically everything. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so let's take a look at, I hope everyone is seeing a Word document, right? Is everyone seeing a Word document?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. And please confirm if you're hearing clearly. I forgot to ask that earlier.
Yes, sir. We're hearing you clearly.
Excellent. So let's take a look at the plan of investigation that was submitted some time ago.
I'm still seeing the PowerPoint.
You're still seeing the PowerPoint?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Has everyone else seen the Word document?
Yes, sir.
No, I'm not seeing it.
No,
Okay,
I'm
let me
not seeing it,
see.
sir.
All right, so I'm
no, sir. Just
all
the
right, so hold
PowerPoint.
on. So let me just share it back now. Oh yes, this should found a way to do it. So everyone should be seeing the PowerPoint. I'm sorry, the Word document. Right. So here's could everyone see this clearly? I can make it a little
Yes,
bigger.
sir.
Yes.
Good. So this is the biggest I'll get.
Yes, sir.
So here's a sample of what was submitted already. My group chose the topic of crime. Crime is a growing parasite in my country, and it is affecting more and more people every day. I chose the subtopic rape and how it affects the victim because I know that it can affect an individual very drastically. As an English student, this SBA can help me improve in my writing. It can enhance my summarizing through the many language techniques the writers of the chosen sources. Also, I can advance my use of literary devices and persuasive devices. The types of material that I will be using to help me with my title of Rape and How It Affects the Victim are poetry, prose, and an article. So let's take a look at this. Firstly, the topic and subtopic was mentioned. We have crime, they're using rape and how it affects the victim. So they'll get, that's good there. Reason for the topic present but not elaborated. All the students said, I chose the topic rape and how it affects the victim because I know that it can affect an individual very drastically. Any of you here would agree that it's a good start, but something else should be said. A couple words more. It's only going to cost you a couple words more. Use your vocabulary. Use your expression a bit more. So this got 2 out of 3 for that part. The English skills now, yes, the student got 3 out of 3. The student mentioned summarizing, spoke about language techniques, literary devices, persuasive devices. Full 3 there for listing them. Now, here's what happens now. The genres of the artifacts were mentioned. The student mentioned poetry, prose, and an article. But guess what? The student did not mention where are they getting the information from. No sources were mentioned. They got 1 out of 2. And finally, they did not mention where will our English skills that they mentioned before will be used in the SBA. So they got 0 out of 2 for that. Also note, the student was over the word limit. In fact, this is 118 words, 20 words over. So this student could not get full marks. The student got 6 out of 10, which gives you 3 out of 5. Any questions so far before we move on to reflection 1? Please go ahead.
I have a question here.
Yes, please go ahead.
So in reference in use of the sources.
Okay, let me just stop you a little bit, please. Could you speak a little louder? I guess you're having some difficulties on your end.
As I was saying,
Beautiful.
mentioning the sources. So the students say the name of the actual artifacts that give the name in quotation marks, for example, and use APA style referencing to refer to the author and the date. Should they do that?
Very good question. Are you a student?
No, teacher.
Okay. Yes, so I was expecting that from a teacher. Well done. Good question, miss. Firstly, the referencing format should be for the bibliography. For the plan of investigation, you are not stating the title of the artifacts because that will be counted in the word limit. Last year, we had a problem with some candidates actually put the name of their artifacts, and by the time they put the 3, it accounted for nearly 25 words. So don't say that. All they have to say, the artifacts are a poem, a song, whatever, and just say it, where did they look for it? Textbooks, pamphlets, etc. That's all. Because remember, they have to save their words for describing the reason for their topic and also stating how are they going to use their English skills in the SBA.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's move on to back to the presentation. Oh, I actually closed it. Let me just open it back.
Excuse me, one question, please.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Lakshmi from Jamaica. I'm a teacher at Heidel. You see, you said that they need to talk about the language skills. And suppose if the word limit is 110, are you taking off the mark for the even 1 or 2 words excess or something like that? Because our students either write too little or they go over. It is very hard for them to maintain the word limit. So I'm saying, do you really take off the marks if it is just 5 or 10 words over, or how should we mark that?
The marks are taken off. A decision was made to enforce the word limit penalty from 2020. An allowance was given from 2018 and 2019 as the SBA was leaving. This information was clearly sent to teachers that they have to maintain the word limit, as in all other SBAs. As some of you are CAPE teachers, you would know that there's a 10% deduction in literatures and English if you go over the 1,500 words. So this is why it's the training from now. And I fully sympathize with you. I have that same problem. And this is why we have to utilize the summary writing skills.
May I know how much mark will be deducted if it is little 10 or
15 so it's not a mark being deducted. What happens is if the student writes 110 words, you put a mark by 100 words, and whatever within the rubric appears in the first 100 words, that's what we're given.
Okay.
So for example, if you have the artifacts up to the 100 words, but the sources over the 100, you will not get 2 marks, you only get in 1.
Oh, okay. I understand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
For reflection 2, where you look at the language use, if the artifact has more than one device running throughout,
can you hold on to that question and we'll bring it up in artifact 2? And that's a very good question. Please ask it when we come down, okay? Because that's a very we have had a problem with that. Anything else regarding the plan of investigation? All right, then. So let's go to the reflection 1, which, as most of you students will believe, it is actually a very easy one to do. It's a nice way to start. In reflection 1, there are 3 things you are looking at. Firstly, you should state at the beginning in a sentence, what did you know about the topic before starting the SBA? Basically, what your previous knowledge, what did you know before? Just 1 sentence. Then the majority of it will be, what was the main idea or issue in your 3 artifacts? So basically, you do a little summary of what was the artifact about, each of them. Then finally, another sentence or 2, if you have the space, about what new information did you know? What new did you learn? Just a sentence, nothing much. And you could write about any of the artifacts. If one artifact taught you something in particular, you could say in artifact so-and-so, in the poem so-and-so, I learned such and such. Okay? Let's take a look at some hints for this. Please remember to mention the title of your artifact at this point. Speak about each of your artifacts separately. Your reflection must be 150 words. The same thing will apply from before. If you are over that word limit, we stop at the 150. And please, and don't make the mistake as some candidates from before, including definitions in the reflection. Don't put definitions. Tell us, because a definition is not what the main issue of an artifact. That's a piece of information from it, but that's not the main issue. So let's now take a look at a sample of what was submitted before. So
you did take a sample of the first one,
right? I just want to mention
the
something.
first one.
As you are seeing in this Word document, we have the plan of investigation. One of the things this candidate did not put the artifacts for the reflections. When you are submitting your SBA, please submit that, because moderators are within their rights to not mark it, give it 0, and send it back to the school.
Come take it no material for this day beside me and help do the something, you know.
A reminder about
my phone didn't work, I could have do the screenshot them myself. You must have to try and help me.
So remember here that if you do not put your reflections in your artifacts for your reflections in your SBA, the moderators can not mark it, send it back to the school, and if the school doesn't send it back, you will not get a grade. So it is your responsibility, and teachers, please note that it is the student's responsibility to have their information in their SBA. Too many times we have, yes?
I'm sorry, sir. As it relates to the artifacts, as relates to the artifact within the SBA, if they got something from the internet, say an article, do they download the entire article, or do they just put the link? What would you
what I have my students do, and what is the norm at the moderation level, you just copy and paste the article and put the URL as well.
Okay.
So we as the moderators could read it, because many times we cannot access links if it's a PDF. So we need to see what is in the artifact so we can know if you are actually correct in your reflection. So let's take a look at reflection 1. The student said, I have gained a lot of knowledge on the topic rape and how it affects the victim. I now understand that many victims are afraid to stand up and speak out about them being sexually assaulted, and that them being raped has left an image in their mind that would be engraved there forever. My first piece, entitled Rape Me, was a song written by an artist named Nirvana, talks about how an individual feels rage and anger about the act of rape and believes that it is disgusting. The artist shows a lot of emotion during the song, and he or she wants his or her audience to listen to the pain and frustration in their voice. In my second piece, My Virginity, was a poem written by a poet named Skinny Cow, talks about how it feels to be alone and afraid and to have no one to help in a time of need. The speaker needs someone before the act of rape was done, but unfortunately, no came to set her free. My third piece, Rape in India, was an article written by an anonymous journalist, talks about the incidents of rape in India and how it has escalated. Statistics were used to represent the information concerning rape. Now, first thing, at the beginning here, the student did mention, at the beginning here, the students did mention what did they know before, how did they feel after. So that's good there. However, they did also mention the artifacts and the issues in the artifacts. That's good. But notice something. The student mentioned unnecessary things. The student included language techniques, which were unnecessary. So they're wasting their words. The students also did mention how it affected them, but it was basically repetitive from the previous knowledge. Biggest problem here, it is over the word limit. It's 206 words. Look at something. I would like you to look at this. This here is 170, what I highlighted. So I need to go back a little more. $118. So probably here. Right. This is 150 words. Notice an entire paragraph where the person spoke about the third artifact is outside of my word limit. I cannot give this 5. This gets only 3 out of 5. And in fact, 3 out of 5 is generous, as our facilitators will concur that should really get 2. But CSEC does encourage us to try to give the child a passing grade. If it was me, you're getting 2 only, because you did not speak about the 3. You spoke about 2 within the word limit. So I hope everyone sees how this marking is done, so you will not fall into this trap. Let's now go back to our reflection 2, and the person with the question regarding reflection 2, don't forget to ask it.
Sir, excuse me, before you go there, please.
Yes, please.
Should they attach a clip of all the 3 artifacts for the song, whatever the verses of the song?
Absolutely.
And also the newspaper article. Correct. And the graphics or whatever video, whatever that, they should attach the actual artifact. They take a snapshot or whatever, or cut and paste in their folder, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Thank you.
it should,
just confirming.
No problem. And it should be placed right after the plan of investigation, so that the moderators can look at it before we read reflection 1.
Okay. Thank you.
Another issue I just need to mention. For those.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon.
Could you please repeat what you just said to that teacher?
Sure. You must include the artifacts in your SBA portfolio, and it should be placed after the plan of investigation, so that when the moderators go to the reflection 1, they could refer to the artifacts to make sure what is being said in the reflections is what is contained in the artifact.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Sir,
yes,
sir,
what?
This is for clarity on my part. If I try use this as a song, right? Is it a case where you have a time span on the songs? Suppose a song exceeds 10 minutes. Would that?
That's okay. What I have my class do. Just take the lyrics and copy and paste. That's not a problem. If it takes up 2 pages, 3 pages, that's the whole song. That's not a problem, because that will help the students anyhow to probably choose proper examples for the language strategies and reflection.
Okay. Another question, sir. Last year we had to. It was uploaded to the system. The students download it on a CD and attach it. If it is that they're attaching the song itself.
Okay.
If they're unable to,
Firstly, I would suggest don't submit an audio file. Just if you go online, you will get the lyrics of nearly every song ever published. Just do the lyrics.
But some students may choose to use a movie.
Right. Now here's this. Good point. Yes. Those who are using video or audio, I would like to point out to you that many times links that you are sending or attachments being sent on the ORS does not open. Now, I would suggest this, of course, this will be a little extra work for the student, but it will help the student in the long run. Whatever portion they are referring to, if they could do a rough transcript and just type it in there and just put the URL and attach the file as well. So in case the file cannot open, we have a little paragraph or two with a little transcript of what was said. So we could say, okay, this is actually, this has an example of a metaphor, or this has an example of statistic. Because if we cannot open it, remember, a moderator is entitled to refuse to mark an SBA where they cannot view the artifacts. So I don't want anything to go back to the school and then it doesn't come back to the teacher. So the teacher doesn't tell the child to go and upload, or the teacher doesn't re-upload, and then the student gets an ungraded score. Because the responsibility of uploading information and files that can be opened is solely on the school. CXC is not responsible for that. So bear that in mind, please.
Sir, a question, please.
Go ahead, please.
Can you do this? I'm doing a video, but can you write the words of whatever the video is saying and type it and put it in?
Yes. Yes, that's what I was saying. Do a transcript. That's the idea, and just focus on what was the important part that you wanted to refer to in your reflection. You don't do the whole thing.
Don't do the whole thing.
Yeah, just do as much as possible that is relevant.
Okay, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This is Miss Greaves from Camperdown High. If the student uses, let us say, a documentary that was uploaded to YouTube, is it okay for the student simply to put the name of the documentary, the producer, and the year it was uploaded?
They can do that. However, they should put the URL as well.
Okay.
Right, that's very important because for the sake of finding it.
Okay, so they should copy and paste.
That is correct.
Along with the relevant information.
Me go in there when I look for me towel and me take out one pack clothes that
Excuse me, can you please mute your microphone? Thank you.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. I was saying, so just to be clear again, one, copy and paste the URL.
Yes.
Two, write out the specific name of the video.
Yes.
And relevant information such as the producer and the year it was
that
uploaded.
Will work. Yes.
Okay. Thank you much.
You're welcome. Basically, as someone was mentioned before, just put the information APA would require or MLA would require. Because remember that when our students go to escape level, that is actually the format. APA and MLA is what they are required to do anyhow. What I actually had my students do is use full APA format for their bibliography to give them the practice from now. But it's not necessary. So don't don't overburden the students. Let's go now go to reflection 2. Right. Now reflection 2, I know a lot of students, you complain a lot about this, you find it's a lot of work, but this is very easy. So let's look at this. Firstly, you need to mention what category did it fall into? Was it a poem, an article, a poster? So just that you need to state what is the genre. Then you need to state what was its purpose. Very briefly, what did the author intend to do? Was it to persuade you to do something, to make you sympathize, to inform you of something, etc.? Then here's the important part. You need to state the main language technique and how was it able to achieve the writer's purpose. One of the things I tell students to do, use this method, IEE. Identify your language technique. Give an example of the language technique and then explain how does this technique achieve the writer's purpose. IEE, identify, example, explain. Once you do this, for each of your artifacts, you have the content and you don't have to worry about anything. Now, before I continue, let me allow the person who had the question about reflection 2 to go ahead and ask it, because it's very important to discuss it now. Go ahead, please.
It's me again, sir. I am Miss
Yes.
Ferguson from Pembroke High. My question was, in reflection 2, they're asked to find devices, right?
Yes.
Be it rhetorical, be it persuasive, or be it a literary device. However, in a song, for example, you may find a number of devices running throughout. And if you want to keep them within the word limit that you have stipulated, do I advise them to just stick to 2 of the devices?
Actually, yes.
What do I?
Only
Yes.
1 per artifact.
Wow.
Because remember, miss, if you were to identify the device, give the example of the device, and then give a sentence stating how does this device achieve the writer's purpose, you have 50 words right there.
Yes, that's true.
So the only thing, we do not require the student to speak about more than 1 device. We only require you to speak about 1 and do so well. We are about quality, not quantity. You select 1, you give me the example, you explain how it affects, how it helps the, how it achieves the writer's purpose, and that's all you need. Okay? Let's take a moment and look at what was submitted before and how did they come to achieving the standard? How close did they come? So we have reflection 2 here. All of the pieces chosen, the language used was descriptive. My first piece entitled Rape Me used satire in the poem. An example to support this device is my favorite inside source. I'll kiss your open sores. Appreciate your concern. You're gonna stink and burn. This stanza is effective as it allows the audience to listen to experience disgust in a satirical tone. In my second piece, My Virginity, the poet uses repetition through the poem. An example to support this device is, nobody came to help me, nobody came to set me free. These lines are effective as it helps the reader to understand the despair the victims feel, that nobody helped her and nobody can set her free. This also shows that the person is alone. My third piece, entitled Rape in India, uses facts throughout the article. An example to support this is, rape is the 4th most common crime against women in India. This is effective as it allows the readers to realize how rampant the crime of rape activity is. Now, we see it clearly that the writer, this candidate, did name the genres, did state the poem. It did not really state the purpose. However, it was very good in stating and discussing the device. The device was clearly named, an example was given, and a good explanation was given. I have a problem with the issue of example in the article Rape in India. Rape is the 4th most common crime. It's actually a statistic, but we will let that go. Honestly, we could let that one go. Because of course, teachers, you will just point that out to the student, just change the word. So the language strategy is named here. An example is given. Effectiveness is discussed. This is a very good piece. Here's the problem. This is 146 words, right? 157 here. So really, the effectiveness in the last part is out of the word limit. So this child really would get between 3 and 4, but we tend to give the 4. So you see how even though you are writing well, do not go overboard. Okay? So before I move on to reflection 3, any questions about reflection 2?
Sir, if reflection 2 and reflection 1 should have the same amount of words, 150.
All reflections must have 150 words.
Okay, only the plan of investigation must have 100.
That is correct.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Not a problem. Anyone else? Okay, so just remember, you have so many devices to use. Don't despair. Don't think it's difficult, students. I know some of you just look at the artifact and say, where I'm going to find a device. But you could use register, you could use tone, you could use mood, the literary devices, simile, metaphor, personification. You could use examples and statistics. And a little hint, you will find examples and statistics a lot in your article. Whereas your literary devices, you're going to find a lot of that in your songs and your poems. So if you have a song and a poem, look out for your literary devices. That'll be the easiest to find. If you have an article, look out for your examples and your statistics. That will be the easiest to find. Right?
Sometimes in the article, even if you have the intention of the writer, the tone and the mood, maybe in the article too, you know, so they can use that. And as you said, I am taking it's a good thing to explain to the students, because if it is an article, we take one, and so the devices won't be repeated even. And if it is a poem, they take the figures of speech. And if it is a graphic or video, they can take even the statistics. So one each, that will be, no repetition will be there.
That's not necessary, actually. Yeah? I like your way of thinking. It is a very good thing to do, and you could do that in your classroom, but just for the sake of making it clear about what CXC requires, it is not compulsory for the students to speak about a different language strategy. So if the student finds repetition in every artifact, that's okay, because remember, the effectiveness will be a bit different. But I fully agree with you, miss. If it came in my class, I would tell them, do not use the same artifact.
Excuse me, too much background noise, sir. Please let them mute, because you are giving useful information and I want to make use of that. Please. The noise is, I am getting some background noise. That's the problem.
Okay. All right. So I think
thanks.
Right. I like that idea. If it came in my class, and I'm sure my colleagues here who are teachers will agree, we would tell our students, don't use the same three strategies. But if it comes to us in CXC and it is done properly, the students will get the mark. At this point, before I continue, I'll just pause to allow the facilitators to add anything else before we continue.
Sir, question.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Sir, I'm an adult student, so I really just want to get this thing understand. I just want to understand everything. So, let me ask you something. I asked a question before where you said the 3 artifacts should place after the plan of investigation. That's when we are doing our table of content, correct?
No. After you write your plan of investigation, you put the 3 artifacts right after that.
You put, like you would say, reflection 1, reflection 2, and reflection 3.
The artifacts, the source of your information will go after your plan of investigation.
Oh.
Yeah.
And after that, sir, or you would do that at the end. After that, we would put the reflections.
That is correct. So your plan of investigation first, then your 3 artifacts, then your 3 reflections, then your written report, then your 3 artifacts from your written report.
Okay, sir. So where does the plan of oral presentation go?
Oh, sorry, I forgot about that. That will go that will actually go anywhere, you know. Could Miss Grant, could you just remind where does that normally go? I can't remember. I think after
the here. It can go after the group report.
Right, yeah.
But right before the bibliography.
But not before. Not before the group report.
Not before the group report.
Right. Thank you very much.
Sir, one question before you go to reflection 3. Sir, sometimes last year one of my students asked me, so I am just asking you, after the plan of investigation, they write they attach the first artifact and write reflection 1, and then enter the second artifact and write the reflection 2, and the third artifact and write the reflection 3. Is it not orderly?
That is not correct at all. It's all the artifacts should be together.
Together, okay.
There is no need. In fact, it's a bit illogical to put the reflection, put one artifact after reflection 1, then another artifact after reflection 2, because you have to speak about all your 3 artifacts in reflection 1. So I don't see the sense in
yeah, I understand. Thank you.
And I just want to make a point there. One of the things that we saw, which was a big problem, is that some students were writing reflection 1 only on artifact 1 and reflection 2 only on artifact 2, which is wrong, and they did not pass.
Okay.
So all artifacts should be together.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sir, I don't understand that, what you just said to that late teacher. Can you repeat and explain? You said something, some students were working.
I won't be here Monday.
Okay,
I won't be here Monday.
Sir, do you want me, sir? Can I say
and
something?
Pepsi them not cool.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mute them mic so the gentleman can answer.
Can you please mute your microphones? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mute the microphones.
Sir, may I answer the student for you, sir?
Sure, please.
All right. You have 3 artifacts working with, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you mentioned that you are getting each artifact from, I don't know, you mentioned in your POI, your plan of investigation, that you're going to use a poem, you're going to use a video, you're going to use a newspaper article.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
No. Before you reach after you do your POI, each piece that you are going to use, you're going to place that after the plan of investigation. So if your poem is 1 page long, you put that after your plan of investigation. If you're going to use a video, as what sir mentioned, pick out the section that you're going to use and you put that and the URL as to where you're going to get the information, the link that you're going to get the video from. You put that as well.
Miss, I understand that. That wasn't what I was asking. The teacher before you had said something, and sir was saying something to this effect. Either him or the teacher was saying saying that in reflection 1 they just write.
Can I answer you that one, miss? Can I answer that?
Yes.
Okay.
No, my students, please listen. My students said 1 artifact first and then write the reflection for reflection 1, and the second artifact cutting and pasting and write the reflection 2, and then other artifacts and write the reflection 3. But he said that should not be done because all the 3 artifacts must come immediately after plan of investigation. We see it here on the screen. Thank you so much, Mr. Basili. Yes.
Okay.
And
so I have here a table of contents. I normally tell my students up front, put this in the SBA even before they start writing it, so they will know in their mind what is the order. Plan of investigation, then I want to see reflect artifact 1, artifact 2, artifact 3. Then I want to see reflection 1, reflection 2, reflection. Then I want to see group written reports. Then the artifact for your group written reports. Then your plan of oral presentation. Then your bibliography. This is the order. This is the most clear order, and it's the easiest order for our moderators to mark. So you can just take a screenshot of this. And of course, I will be sending the information to the organizers who will share accordingly. So this is the order.
This is a very good point. Yes, very good point. So it will help the students to write like this, actually.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And just to add, Hassan, I want to remind the candidates to not write the reflections as one piece, because normally we see where they write all 3 reflection in one,
which will give you not a passing grade, people.
Right.
Thank you very much
for bringing that point up. 3 separate pieces.
Yes, that is why. Notice again, people. Reflection 1, reflection 2, reflection 3. 3
separately.
Not 1, 3 reflections. And again, teachers, it is on the syllabus in black and white stating 3 reflections. You cannot, cannot, and teachers cannot say that they do not know, right? So please bear that in mind. Students as well know what you are supposed to do. And students, your syllabus, which is free to download, has a mark scheme to guide you as well. This is for you as well.
Yes.
Please download your syllabus from the CXC. So it's free and you have it for all CSEC and CAPE subjects. Take advantage of this, please, students. So let's move on to
Reflection
three.
Yes.
And reflection 3 has several questions, but let me just look at how are the 2 ways we can look at reflection 3. Reflection 3 could be either you speaking about the experience working in the group or your personal growth from researching the topic. So either you speak about your experience working in this group, or 2, you speak about your personal response to this topic. What did you learn? How do you feel now? Did it cause any change in you? And also, students, you could even have a mixture of both angles. There is no problem for that.
Yes.
So
okay.
This, you know what? Let me just change that and for the sake of clarity, right? So that will be A. This will be B. And C is a combination of A and B.
This is also 150 words, right, sir?
Absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you.
So you have 3 options, and this is why students, so many of you get 5 out of 5 here. It's very easy to get the marks, and you have so much things to talk about. So let me give you some particular things you should be mentioning. So you could have, there are so many questions. Of course, I just want to point out, if you answer all these questions, you're over 150, so you're not going to answer all. You just choose some to answer. Things such as, what did you learn about the topic? How did it help you in any facet of your life? Did it cause you to change in your attitude? Did it cause you to change academically, in your social relations, whatever? How was your experience working in a group? What were the challenges and what were the benefits of working in this group? How did you deal with challenges as a group? How did you help each other? How did it help you grow? How did it make you think differently? Even English skills. How did it help your writing? Did it help you? For example, I have a student who wrote that it helped them become more confident in speaking in public because of the SBA, and also interacting with a group made them feel more comfortable speaking. So all of these things, any of those things could work, right? So remember again, our main things, you have either A, speak about your experience working in a group, B, your personal growth from researching the topic, and C, a combination of A and B. Now let's take a look at an example of this. So we have reflection 3. Notice something. Finally, the student was in the word limit. Finally, there were 140 here. I believe that the process of doing this research has helped me become a better language student, as it helped me analyze various language techniques and devices used by various writers to get their point across. This project helped me to understand what a person goes through and how this can drastically affect their lives. It has also given me personal growth, because before I was not aware of the severity of rape, but now I know that many individuals have been affected immensely by it. I understand now that the impact that it has on those people who have been raped before, and the rape victims that decide to continue their lives after those situations, should be respected, as it takes a large amount of courage and bravery to have a burden and be able to live life positively. The effect of the topic on the kindness outlook was discussed. Their growth was discussed. Their academic growth was discussed. 5 out of 5. And I would allow the other facilitators to step in at this point and add anything about reflection through anything we did before we move on.
Okay, Nashorna here. My 2 bit is on reflection the second reflection, because many students tend to think that it's very difficult and tend to shy away. But as Mr. Bassarali said, just identify, example, elaborate, just rain at the teachers, most importantly teachers, well, everybody who are here, just reinforce that point. And I think it's very easy. And if not, I think it's the easiest of the three reflection.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, it's the easiest. All they have to do is just tell them, look, identify.
You know what happens
provide
here?
the example, elaborate. I don't know why many of them, yes,
students are making this difficult on themselves. Students are
they're making it.
overthinking. Don't overthink.
Yeah, they're overthinking.
You
That's
realize,
the word.
students, it's only one art, or it's only one device you have to speak about. It's
one device. And how the device help the artifact? Did it help to explain, reinforce, to highlight what the author is trying to present? If it's, for example, teenage pregnancy, does it the metaphor or the repetition highlight the whole idea of how devastating the experience was on the? It's easy. I think it's the easiest. So for those who are here and for those who are going to pass on information on this workshop, just comfort the student. Tell them they're overthinking. It's very easy.
Absolutely.
As Mr. Bassarali said before, you just identify, you just provide the example, and you just explain. When you explain what did this a literary device, how did this literary device, how did the writer use this literary device, and that's it. So that's my two feet. And let me add, the artifacts, they do come after the plan of investigation, but please, at the top of each page, you can just say artifact 1, artifact 2, artifact 3, because for yes, for
let me just show you how to give an illustration of that, a suggestion. So this is a student I have currently. So he has his plan of investigation, and look what this is what I make him do. Artifact 1, I tell him do this. Put the name, author cut, and or article author, sorry, and source. So at the beginning of it, it's there. Then he copies and pastes. He does the same thing for artifact 2. He puts the name, he puts the author, he puts the source. It's clearly written, and then he puts then he copies and pastes again. And again, notice this is a rather lengthy piece, but he could copy and paste the whole thing. Finally, artifact 3. Name, author, source. Very good, very clear. And then the whole thing is copied and pasted. That's it. And then you have your reflection 1.
Yes, and I was saying, what I would suggest, and I would ensure they do this, it can help them to cut down on words. For example, if you're going to make mention to an artifact in your reflection, you can say in artifact 1. So you can reduce the amount of words right there. So that's what that's saying.
Sir, question on reflection 2. In reflection 2, you and the other teacher were saying it's the easiest one because you would just select one of the thing and write on it. But I was told where I'm going that could I just read a little thing? My 3 reflections. The reflection 2 is about the 3 reflection. That's what I was told. So I write about the 3 of them, the 3 artifacts. Sorry, I used the wrong word, reflection. In reflection 2, I gave information on the 3 artifacts. But what I'm getting from what you and the other teacher was saying, I should just choose one out of the 3 and elaborate on it?
No. For each of the artifacts in reflection 2, you have to select one language strategy. You have to speak about the 3. But in the 3 artifacts, you speak about one language strategy.
Yes.
Okay, is that clear?
Yes, I understand.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Sir, can I give a suggestion, please? Even though I'm not a facilitator to what Ms. Shana said, the second one explaining, you said IEE. That has been, they have been getting practices from grade 9, 10 and all that in their comprehension questions. When you get that, it says that identify, identify and explain the device and all that. Identify, by giving an example and show the appropriateness of the example. That is the question. So if they identify 1 mark, yes, if they identify 1 mark, and if they give an example, another mark, and if they explain, or if they give example and explain, it is 2 marks. So out of the 3 marks, if they identify only, they get only 1 mark. So they have that practice. So it may not be hard for them.
Well, I'm not familiar with the system in Jamaica to that extent. I just want to point out as well. It's good that you mentioned us, at least it helps your colleagues. I don't know. I know everyone here is probably senior to me in terms of the teachers. You would remember that when we had the comprehension for English A and for English B, that was always a question. Yes. They would ask you, in line so, identify the device in line so by so and state its effectiveness. That's the same thing we're doing here. So if you remember from when you were teaching years ago, the comprehension and how to answer that, just teach them like that again.
Yes. That will help them in the written paper also, in the other exam also, yes.
All right.
Actually, the entire SBA is actually a reflection of the written exam as well. If they do well here, they are going to do well in the written exam as well,
So at this point, we are nearing the end, actually. So I would like to beg indulgence from the facilitators. Since we are able to, I'm just mention this, for your reflection 3, please don't be repetitive. Some students write the same thing and say it several ways. Don't make that mistake. So I would like to beg indulgence from the facilitators that we take a 5-minute break and then just deal with the written report and finish off, because I know we've been here for about an hour and we want to make sure we are at the peak attention. Can we do that?
Sure, yes, we can take a break.
So it's now, I believe it's, what's the time in Jamaica?
It's 4:18 in Jamaica.
Okay, right. So can we return at 4:25?
Sure.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's, right, so yes?
Good afternoon, Mr.
Yes, good afternoon.
I have a question. Could it wait, come back and
sure, yeah, let's come back with the question.
regarding reflection, the reflection.
Okay, actually you're breaking up.
Yes, I'm asking, I have a question. So I want to know, is it okay for me to ask it when we come back?
Sure, not a problem. We'll start off with your question and then we'll move on.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so see everyone at 4:25.
The 474 அதுதான் அனுப்புறது.
அதெல்லாம் அனுப்பிச்சாச்சு எல்லாம் அனுப்பிச்சிருக்கேன்னா நான் நோட் பண்ணி வச்சுட்டு இருக்கேன். நீ பார்த்துட்டு சொல்லணும் எனக்கு இது இல்லை அது இல்லை.
நான் என்ன பிளான் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன் இப்போ இதுலேருந்து அது ஒரு ஷேர் ஸ்கிரீன் போட்டு எல்லாம் பண்ணணும்னாக்க கிளியரா இருக்கும். அதான் தலை போட்டு பார்க்கணும். அப்படி இல்லைன்னா நான் கையால உட்காந்து
அதுதான்
அதை நீங்க எடுத்து
அதுதான் பெஸ்ட்.
5 நிமிஷம் பிரேக் கொடுத்துறோம். புக்ஸ் எழுதிட்டு வரேன்.
Good evening once again. So we're back to the final stretch. So we will resume with the question that was from the before the break. So please go ahead with the question.
Yes, Mr. Basarali. Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Yes, so my question was in relation to the reflection. The outline that I have been using with my students says that all reflections are marked out of 5. Is that so?
Oh, thank you very much for bringing up that point. I did not mention it. You are correct. All reflections are marked out of 5. That means that the total reflection will be 15. That is then divided by 3 to give a total score out of 5. Is that clear?
Yes, Mr. Basarali. Thank
Right.
you so much for that.
So it's not so it's not that you look at all 3 and give it a mark out of 5 together. You mark each out of 5. That will be 15 divided by 3. You get a mark out of 5. Okay. So thanks for bringing that point up.
Okay, good evening. Can I ask a question, please?
Good evening. Please go ahead.
Yes, there's a screen that you showed with reflection 3 that had some questions on it.
Sure.
Yes, could you go back over that screen for me,
Are
please?
you
I don't
seeing
think
it?
I got everything.
Are you seeing it?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
excellent.
you.
Okay, so while he's taking down whatever he needs to, we're going to move on in a couple minutes to the written report. Now, the written report, unlike the 2 other sections, which are the plan of investigation and reflections, are not divided, not marked and then divided by something. It's 10 marks as is. So there's no division, it's just 10 marks. And this is a section that we have some students, unfortunately, either doing close to well or not well at all. We are hardly finding students in the middle part. So I hope that you pay very close attention to this part in particular, because it's one of the sections that require a lot of improvement in candidates. So could I move from this slide, or you need a minute again?
Yes, you can go ahead. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. So right, so now we're going, and again, please remember regarding your reflection 3, do not be repetitive, do not state the same thing in different words. You have so many questions as was laid out in the slide that you don't need to repeat. So just be very careful with that. So the group written report consists of 10 marks. The content is 4 marks. What are some of the things we want to see in the content? Firstly, we expect you to state the different aspects of the theme that each group member investigated. So as you know, you have a general topic and then you have your subtopics. You must mention your subtopics. You need to state clearly what was the topic and then what were the subtopics of this SBA. You do not need to state which group member did what. That's not needed. The second thing that you should be speaking about is your experience researching and finding your information. Was it easy or hard to find your artifacts, and why? The third thing you should be stating is how did the group decide on what 3 artifacts to use? Now, it's very important here to note this. How did the group decide what 3 artifacts to use? Because many students leave this part out. Or some students give an answer such as the group chose 3 artifacts that were interesting. Now, as you know, that won't give you the marks. You have to state something more than that. You should be stating something such as the group chose these 3 artifacts because it contained information that provided ways to help someone being bullied, or these artifacts were chosen because it provided examples of steps to protect the environment. These artifacts were chosen because it provided many safety tips on preparing for the natural disaster of a hurricane or tropical storm. You have to give me more than these were interesting. So please bear that in mind. You need to also mention how many artifacts did the group have and what are the names of the artifacts that you would choose. And also you would have to mention their author and, if possible, the year of publication. Some of you may not find the year of publication, but if you can, please put it in. But you must have your author and your title. And that will give you your content marks, which are 4. Then you have evidence of investigation, which is 3. This is where you speak about what did the group learn from each of the pieces or artifacts. So what did you learn from those 3 artifacts? So in a way, you realize it's a bit similar to reflection 1 in that aspect. What was the major issue? And you have to mention again your title, author, and year if possible. That will give you your 3 marks there for investigation. Then finally, oh, I'm sorry, I missed out something. Under, let me just add it in one time. Right. For content, you should also mention the process. What was the process of the group writing the report? Right, I'm sorry for that. So please remember to have what was the process of the group writing the report. So you need to say, what did you as the group do to write this report? How did you go about doing this report? When did you meet? How did you meet? Right? You don't have to say person X wrote this and person Y did that. You need to state, what did you do? Did you get together and meet on a day after school or during class time and then everyone edited? You need to state that. That's very important. That will give you a mark for content. And of course, investigation is the same 3 things I mentioned. And finally, your language use and vocabulary is 3 marks. You must have no errors in grammar and mechanics. Please pay attention to your punctuation, to your verb tense, to not sentences which are not exceedingly long and confusing. And another thing, and this is what really gives you the 3 marks instead of getting 2, when you did your research, you came across certain vocabulary or jargon or technical terms from your topic. You should utilize that in your report. Because remember, you need to state about, oh, sorry, wrong one. Right. Over here, under 2B, what was the major issue? What did the group learn? This is where you combine your language to evidence of investigation. Use the vocabulary that you would come across, the technical terms, when you are writing about what you learned. And that will give you your 3 marks. Many students get 2 because they have their grammar and mechanics down, well down. But that last part about the vocabulary and jargon, they don't mention any. And that costs them that 1 mark there. So before I go to an example, I would just pause for the facilitators to make any contributions.
Sir, question, does this have a word limit?
Thank you very much for the question. I forgot to mention that. It's 300 words, I believe. Oh, sorry, it's in the next slide. So yes, again, it's 300 words. Thanks for reminding me to move on. It is the only part of the SBA that spelling and grammar is penalized. So make sure you should not be making spelling and grammar mistakes as English students in the entire SBA. But you see this part, please look it over a couple times. your 3 artifacts that you spoke about must be included after this written report. And as I said here, it must be included and it must be shared. Sometimes we have a problem that students, they don't give the artifact to the other students. So one student has 2, one student has 1. Make sure students share their information because everyone has to have the same written report. And that is something as well. Please note, each member of the group has to have the same written report. It is a group component. So you cannot have one member of the group writing one thing and the rest writing another thing. That can't work. Okay?
Sir,
Yes,
so you said the artifacts for this written report should go after the written report in
that
the
is
table of
absolute.
confidence.
No, actually in the portfolio itself.
Yes.
Yes.
So the artifact should be the same one, sir, right? The same artifact 1, 2, 3 will be again put the same artifact. What are the 3 artifacts then?
All right, hold on. The 3 artifacts for the written report are the 3 chosen by the group.
Right.
Not the 3 by the individual. So for example, if there are 3 of us in a group, all right, let's say there are 5 of us in a group, we may choose 1 from each. Therefore, 2 people will not have an artifact chosen from them for the written report. That's okay. Or you might choose 2 from 1 and 1 from a next person. So what the written report right after it will have the 3 artifacts that were spoken about in the written report. That's the difference. Understand?
Oh, yes.
Okay, sir. So just for clarity, the 3 artifacts that we're using for the written report are artifacts that we mentioned earlier.
That is correct, from the group as a whole, yes.
Okay.
So let's say for example, hold on a minute, please.
Sir.
Yeah, just a minute. So for example, if there are 5 of us in a group, 5 by 3, 15 artifacts. So out of the 15, the group is choosing 3 to base their written report on. Okay, so go ahead with your question now, please.
Sir, could you at the end or whenever repeat back the table of contents?
Not a problem.
It should be set out?
Not a problem.
Okay, thanks.
Sometimes, sir, sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Sometimes the artifact that you have it in reflection 1, 2, 3, maybe there may be a repetition, right? It is not so like that. Is it not so? The artifacts after the written report, maybe 1 or 2 may be a repetition of the reflection.
That is correct.
That can work, right?
That is not a problem. So right. So you've made a very good point. So as you see here, we could have the same artifact one being repeated on the artifacts of group written report. That's not a problem because remember, the group decided to choose one of this person's artifacts. So it's just a copy and put it back in again. That's not a problem.
Okay.
But just remember that while this child may be repeating themselves, the other students would not have that child's artifact. So they need to get it from the other child.
Okay. Give them a chance like that, yes.
Yes, they should. They have to share because remember, a group, remember, you are given marks for your performance in the group. So if you do not share, obviously you are not performing in the group, you're not collaborating. And therefore the teacher should not be giving the child full marks under that section if they are not sharing and collaborating and coming together and working as a group.
Because it is totally 15 marks, sir. I was telling my students that just to report if anybody is not working, I'm not giving, because you see here, we have the quality of group activity and
correct.
the participation measure. Participation measure 5 and quality of group activity 10 marks out of the 45 marks for SBA.
That is true.
15 marks they are getting. So if they are not collaborating or producing any artifact, we are not giving them the money.
Yes. Okay. So, so just remember to mute your mics. Any other questions about the written report before we move on?
Not the written report, sir. Can you use a cover page on your thing?
Yes, of course. That's not a problem.
Okay, sir.
Asan, just to point out again, remember students and teachers that the word limit is 300 words. And sometimes we see where in the group reports, they write the name of all the group members.
Which is not needed.
Right.
And you're wasting your words. So at this point, let me show you a sample of what was submitted, and we will look at its strengths and weaknesses. Now, I want to point out, to begin with, this is over the word limit. This is 344 words, over 50 words over the word limit. So what we would do, we would just look at the first 300 will end about here. But let's read the whole thing to see. The written report goes as, crime is prevalent and trending worldwide. This is the reason why my group consented to this topic. It was of utmost concern to everyone, even though we were interested in by different aspects of it. Conducting research for this topic was relatively easy, since the internet was flooded with articles, advertisements, blogs, journals, Facebook and Instagram posts, and poems, songs, and videos that report on the infamous topic of crime. Of the 12 pieces, we were able to select 3 pieces that best captivated the topic in its entirety. I just want to point out, that sounds nice. Best captivated the topic in its entirety. But teachers in particular, would you say that is a developed reason for choosing these pieces?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It is?
But no, it shows the participation of the group actually, how they collected
the question
how they collected
the question is, should that get marks for giving the reason for choosing the artifact?
No.
Right.
It's just an explanation of the report.
Yes.
That is it. Yes.
That's
No
the thing.
marks for
So you
that.
see here,
Yeah.
this child, even though they started, they can't get the full mark for that part. We chose Kurt Cobain's song, Polly, a song about a young girl who was kidnapped, raped, and beaten by a predator. Secondly, we used an article by Daniel Neal published on 6 January 2019. It is entitled, Taking Stock of 2018's Money Laundering Scandals, When Is Enough? This was about money laundering scandals in 2018. Lastly, the third piece was a poem entitled My Virginity by Skinny Cow. This was about a girl who has been raped 13 years ago and to this day is still haunted by this traumatic experience to this day. The group acknowledged that these pieces portrayed the importance, yet highlighted the various features of crime, such as kidnapping, murder, money laundering, and rape. Now, you see, finally, the child gets to that point. So, when we were to mark this, if we were to mark this, the organization of this piece has some work to be done. So that's a flaw here. My group met religiously on a weekly basis, either at set lunchtime meetings at school or online after school hours. This allowed us to gauge our SBA progress so that our deadlines could be met in a timely manner. During these sessions, we collaborated and communicated our ideas. However, adhering to these scheduled meetings was sometimes challenging, given all our academic and forward the best work regardless of busy schedules. Group work taught us to cooperate, accommodate everyone's contributions, and accept positive criticisms in areas that we lacked. Each group member fulfilled his expectations, and we were able to focus on the common goal as a team with hardly any personality clashes or differences. In light of the above, our English SBA objectives have been successfully met. So first thing, we have a problem with this over the word limit. Under content, were the subtopics mentioned? No. So they will have a problem there. The reason for choosing artifacts were not really elaborated. That's an issue as well. And the process of creating the report was mentioned. All right, a reminder about muting your mics, please. Right. So we have here again, your subtopics were missing. You did mention your artifact, but not really elaborated the reason for its story. And you did mention the process of creating the report about meeting and so on. You get 3 out of 4 for that. That's good. Evidence of investigation, we did see the artifacts mentioned, the title mentioned, the author mentioned, the documentation was present. The issues in the artifacts were identified, but not clearly expressed. If you notice, they mentioned something about it, but did not bring it together to show that this topic was about crime. We just heard about different things, but it was not brought together about this report. And finally, the language and vocabulary is good because really and truly, yes, the end has a part about it that's not written well. We've seen some grammatical errors, but it's not, it will actually get 2 out of 3 for that, but there is no evidence of vocabulary and jargon incorporation. We're not seeing the students taking out the vocabulary that they would have learned from these artifacts and explaining it in the written report. In fact, where they should have been doing that, which was under the issues from the 3 artifacts, it's very simple and it's like very choppy. It's cut and paste. It's not cohesive. It's not melted together to give one idea. In fact, they did not even mention, you know, the 3 pieces are about crime, and we look at different aspects of crime. Of course, that's why they lost that mark. So, yes, go ahead, please.
Sir, overall, this is what your explanation is so clear. Thank you very much for that. Sir, overall, if I don't see the comment at the bottom in the purple, I was thinking, oh, the report looks like very good, like that. But when we point out the errors, actually, we realize, oh, that should be there. Now, for example, the last part, sir, the language use and vocabulary. They can take a word or something like an example, because it is 300 word limit. They have the time to explain and give the thing also the word.
That is true.
So they can quote they can quote a word from the artifact that they have and say, this is a new word that we have learned the meaning, the spelling, and they don't need to write that.
No, what they should do is that, as I was saying before, remember in the artifact they may come across a technical term about the topic. Now, when they are writing the issue in the topic, they should incorporate that in the vocabulary. So you as the teacher would know, oh, the child is using this word which is specific to this topic in the proper context. They don't have to say, I learned a new word. They need to use the new word in a sentence, especially where the issues of the artifacts are being discussed.
Okay.
And
so they need to mention about the vocabulary, right?
Not mention the vocabulary, use the vocabulary.
Okay.
Right? And that will bring you from 2 to 3. And let me show you an example of how a child did that. So I'll just go to that little piece there. Just bear with me for a minute, please. It's the written report sample, right? So let me share now. It's just one I want to make you look at. Good. So here's this, right? So let's start it here. In the everyone is seeing, right? Right. In the third artifact, Daddy walked out. We learned that sometimes divorce could benefit the children, as they will be able to live in a peaceful home and have parents who are less stressed and more focused on their wants and needs. I want to point out, notice how this child expresses the issue in the artifact. It's clearly superior to the previous example. This creates an environment that is more suitable for a child's emotional stability and growth. You see that part there? Emotional stability and growth, because we know our students would not use that in a normal sentence. But because of the research, they were able to incorporate this in their writing. And that's where you see the vocabulary being utilized. That is an example of what we want to see. Okay.
That's another thing, sir. The samples that you have posted here, I don't know whether you are very strict or hard in marking. Nobody got the full mark in the samples.
Well,
and yeah, we would be so grateful if you if you could give us a sample with almost the full, at least 9 out of 10 or 4 out of 5 or something like that.
I'm sorry, but I don't have. I have some samples with me, but I don't have any that I didn't save any with that with those grades. In fact, I believe that but I will provide some samples to the facilitators to share. But again, you could see what's missing, and then you could guide your students accordingly.
Okay.
All right. So that brings us basically to the end. Let me pause again for the facilitators to add anything and for any questions to be allowed.
Mr. Basarali?
Yes.
Miss Rose again. I have two questions. The
Go
first
ahead,
one,
please.
yes, the first group report. Can the group mention any challenges they had working together as a group and say how they overcome those challenges? Or
Where would you like to mention that? At what part of the SB?
I think that could go in reflection
group
3,
report.
sir.
Sorry, just now, let me just let Miss Rose continue. For the where would
Yes,
you?
I'm asking for the group report where they're mentioning how they work together as a group.
They can put it in a sentence,
Are you
but
hearing me, sir?
yes, I'm hearing you clear. That's not a problem.
Right.
Because
Asking.
yes, because the
seeing that they would
you're breaking up.
explain how they work together.
Yes, Miss Rose, please go ahead.
Yes. So I was asking, seeing that they would write how they together as a group. So is it okay for them to state any challenge that they
Yes,
experience
that's not a
and
problem.
how they overcome that challenge?
Yes, that's not a problem.
For the
Make
group
sure
report.
remember that's not a problem. You can't have it because the candidate did put it in because it will fall under the process of writing the report. But remember, it is not a major thing like reflection 3. You just need to put it in a sentence. Don't go overboard.
Okay.
Right?
Second question is, yes, sir.
Yeah, because remember the major thing we're focusing on the process is how did they get together to write it?
I would add.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Yes, continue, please, miss.
For
Okay,
would it be easy?
Miss Rose, you're breaking up again. Please, all right, let's give it a minute and okay, try again now, please.
Yes, can you hear me a little clearer now?
Yes, I'm hearing you much better. Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. I'm asking for reflection 3. Would it be better for students to write that reflection after doing the group report, or it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter. It's up to your preference. Of course, it would make sense that after the group report because they would have experiences on group work. It is the most logical thing to do it at that time.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Right? But just just a minute. I just want to point it out. So remember, they would have had to work together to gather their topics as well. So that is an aspect of group reports of group work as well. So, but the best thing is, as you suggested, have reflection 3 done after the group report.
Okay.
Writing. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir, in the written report, the PowerPoint presentation, you put a subdivision like evidence of investigation. Okay, that's clear. What was the major issue in each piece? That means they need to talk about the content.
That is correct.
Or they should mention their challenge in finding the piece or something like that.
The challenges
because
will go,
it says
yeah.
It can also go. The challenge can also
that
work
is true because yes, because they have to speak about how did they get the artifacts. That's correct.
Okay, so that is a chance for that. There's a room for explaining that to them.
Yes.
Okay. That because just want to make it very clear.
Not a
Sir,
problem.
one more question with your permission and with the
No problem.
permission of the facilitators. Since the program is recorded, can we get the clip in our email, or do you give us permission for that, or how does it work, sir?
That is a
workshop.
question that the facilitators will address.
We will send an email.
Okay.
Please indicate in the group chat. We ask for your information, your name, your school, and email address, and state whether
Okay.
you're a teacher or a student also. And we'll send a
Okay, thank
recording
you.
to you.
Okay, thank you. Or I will even send a separate email to you, Miss, because you have already facilitated us with your email. So I can even mention that. Because
Sure,
just
you
to
can
remind you,
also
maybe the
send
chat
it
may
to
disappear or something like that.
Right, you can also send it to Nashona
Okay.
or myself.
And
okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And sir, you want to give us any idea about the oral presentation?
Just a minute. I'm just putting a message on the chat.
Good question.
Huh.
Thank you.
All right. So I have also put a feedback form for you to please fill when you get a chance. Please open it, and it will open another window so you could fill it out afterwards. I don't want to have you spending time afterwards. It'll take you about a couple minutes. So just for us to know how to improve these sessions. Regarding the oral the written report, let me just say this. The written report is under the total control of you teachers. However you decide to run it, it's up to you. Right?
Okay.
You do as you see fit. If you would like the students to do a practice and then a second one and mark it, it's up to you. If you want them to do one shot only, it's up to you. If you want them to do it individually or in front of the class, it's up to you. Just remember, the written report is the oral presentation. It's two things we're looking at. One is a discussion about the topic. So it has to be about the subtopic. It can use any of the genres given. It could be a monologue, a poem, a song, a speech. It must be 3 to 5 minutes. And the majority of the marks, as in the rubric, is for the clarity of speech, the projection of voice, the non-verbal communication. Okay? So it is totally up to you.
Sir.
Yes?
Can you use a poem, an introductory poem, and then go into a speech?
So you want to combine two genres? That is not a problem. Another thing I would like to mention, you have to use your own work. You cannot go and recite a poem or give a speech of someone given by others. So if you want to combine two genres, that's not a problem. There is no penalty for that. That shows a level of creativity.
It must
that's
be
nice.
original work, yes.
But sir, how would you go about that? Can you record the poem and
I cannot tell you how to do that. That is something for you and the teacher to discuss. It is totally up. We give no directions on that. That is totally up to the teacher. Right?
Okay, but the two can work.
That's not a problem because there is no statement in the rubric that you have to only use one type of genre. Right?
Okay.
So for example, let me give you a nice example that I've seen a student do. Actually, when I was a student way back in secondary school, she was given a speech and she was quoting from a popular song and she burst out in song, which was really fun. It was very, I remember it up till now, and that's about 15 years ago. All right?
Yes,
so
sir.
that's not a problem. Be creative, do a monologue. And guess what, people? Just one more thing. You can have props and costume. That's not a problem. That will fall under non-verbal. So you could dress up accordingly.
Okay, Nashana here. I would suggest, for example, you have students would like to do a play or ask for the assistance of other students. If you are going to allow them to use other students, then you ensure or you inform them or encourage them to speak, to do most of the talking then.
Could the person doing that stop, please?
Exactly.
Sir, one question on oral presentation. Sir?
Yes, I'm listening, go ahead.
Okay. Last year, I know that CXC allows that. We got a clip from, because we didn't meet them face to face. This year also, most probably, I don't know. We don't know what is going to happen. So what they did was, we asked somebody to take a picture of what they are talking using the nonverbal this and that. And most probably we advise them to have the school uniform if they are not doing any dramatic presentation or anything like that. So they have their school uniform and then they speak and somebody tape it in their school uniform, and we can actually see whether they are reading or whether they are talking, and whether they are up to the point in their pronunciation, all those things, and then we graded them. CXC accepts that, right? Oral presentation, because we are not doing any face-to-face thing, and we are going to see only one person at one time, and they take a video clip by the parents or from the guardians, and then they send it to us in our WhatsApp, and then we listen to that. That's all right, right?
Yeah, that's not a problem. In fact, I believe under the document about the SBAs for 2021, they did mention that you can do recordings of oral presentations and send it to the teacher. I know of, in my country, Trinidad, some teachers have actually have had children call them on WhatsApp, on video call, and do it individually and give them a mark. I find that's a lot of work, but
because it is, the situation is like that, sir. We can't meet them face to face, and how the oral should be done.
Yeah.
So there is no other choice. And one more question on written report, sir. You said that after the school they met, or where did they meet? How did the group discuss and all that? Again, they are going to say in the report that due to the COVID situation, they meet on the Zoom or their online or whatever chat, and they can mention that.
Yes, because that shows the process. And it also shows how they overcame challenges. Notice how in this year, they're actually getting like marks for 2 by writing one thing. So they actually have a benefit. It might be easier this year for them to actually write that.
Yes, okay. Just confirming, because they cannot meet at this situation because we don't have any face-to-face classes at all. So they have to do that. And thank you very much for that answer.
I'm happy to help.
Response. Thanks.
Mr. Basarali.
Yes.
Ms. Rose again. Are students expected to memorize their oral presentation, whether it's a poem?
No oral presentation is really memorized. They could bring their cue cards, they could bring a paper, but remember, you will have to give them marks for their eye contact and not
facial
reading
expression.
straight. Okay?
Yes.
So that's not a problem, Miss Rose. They can go ahead and bring their little notes. They could even bring an iPad. They could use their phone, but of course, they can't be having their heads into their device or paper all the time.
So for non-verbal cues, they're marked for eye contact.
Yes, they will also be marked for projection of voice, things, pronunciation, enunciation, etc.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
It is marked out of 10, right, sir? Oral?
That is correct. That's correct.
Yes. Okay.
Sir, thanks for that clarification.
Not a problem.
The speech that the teacher just asked you about.
Please confirm the time. The time for the oral is it 3 minutes? Is it how long?
Between 3 to 5. And remember, colleagues, teachers, it's up to you. If you want to give them more, if you want to not penalize them for over 5, that's up to you. Honestly, it's up to you. I'm going to make a statement here that will sound funny. If you decide to give everybody 10 and don't even do an oral presentation, we cannot even check that. It's totally within your remit, teachers. Do as you see fit. You know your students best. You know what's going to help them score well. You help them as much as you can. Okay?
Yes.
If you want to give them a try, a draft one, and then give them a final presentation to do, you do that. Up to you.
As you were saying that, Hassan, just want to point out to the teachers though, that they should ensure that the 3 parts that we are moderating,
yes,
they should ensure that those parts are there when they're giving marks, because we found that some of the SBA had grades for parts that we could not see or verify. So the student ended up losing all of that mark.
That is true. Thank you very much for pointing out. Teachers, you see the 3 parts, the plan of investigation, the 3 reflections, and your written report. It is extremely important that those are marked accurately because it is a reflection of you. Our moderation is not about the quality of the student work, it's the quality of marking. Our comments are about the quality of the teacher's marking. That's what moderation is about, not about the quality of the student's work. So please bear that in mind. Our comments will be related to, were you lenient or were you too stringent? How accurate were you? What area you need to be more standardized in? So note that, teachers, because I know that some people may not have received their reports, but I am hearing that in some of the territories, the reports are being finally sent to teachers, and it has the moderators' comments, and the moderators' comments again show a lot of flaws in marking. So, and these things at the end of the day result in the students getting a bad deal. We have cases of students having their marks reduced because the teacher inflated the mark to 45 and the student got 22 or 30. Look at the difference. So that child who's going in expecting to get a 1 ends up with a 3 or a 4. It's not right. And we have to do our part, because I remember we are the experts, teachers. And now we are armed with the knowledge of how to accurately do our SBA. We have no excuse now.
And also there are some texts out there that they don't give the correct information. So as teachers, we are to check with the syllabus to ensure that we're guiding the students the correct way.
Unfortunately.
Okay, and might I add, Nashana here? Yes, I was going to mention about the text, and yes, and in light of the fact that 6E will be requesting all SBAs, please teachers ensure that especially the group report, many of the SBAs that I've seen in the past, a grade is there for the group report and there's no group report. Just ensure especially that the group, you might see one for all the group, but please remind students that each student should get a copy now that all the SBAs will be sent in for moderation.
Thank you very much. And I just like to point out as well,
and
thankfully in Jamaica, you have some moderators that have been working with us for some time in both paper 3.1 and 3.2, the SBA, in our facilitator. So you have resource persons that frankly I can put my head on a block with their marking, because they know that they have worked with me at CXE, and they would tell you, and I would tell you, I tell them I don't really have to check your work because I know the quality of work that you do. The work that they do is very accurate. I will never have a disagreement with our 2 facilitators over the marks that they give. They have consistently been accurate. The quality of work that they have is excellent. So you have resource persons that you could go to and ask a question. They have years of experience under their belts, and they'll be starting again this year, working again with CXE in the moderation process and the marking process. So you have resource persons, please utilize them.
And sir, one final question from me. And what discrepancy or the grade difference in the moderator grade and the teacher grade that you send back the SBA to the school? May I know
No,
that,
SBAs
please?
will only be sent back to schools if there are things missing. If the teacher did not upload all parts, it will be sent back. If there's a discrepancy in grade, that will be discussed in the moderator's report that I am hoping that teachers are receiving.
So you will not send back the students will not be graded, you said at one point. And for what reason?
If things are missing, we cannot moderate.
Okay.
Right? How could I say if you are accurate if you don't have a mark, if I can't look at what your work is?
Okay.
So that means it will get 0.
And teachers, I'm imploring to you, please, for this coming exam, please try and be as accurate as you can. Don't, I'm not going to accuse persons who are here, but many a times I see where the grades are hiked up and then at the end of the day, it's marked down. And then the expectations, when you get back the grades, you are disappointed. Please be as accurate as you possibly can.
Okay, so that's it on my part, and I'll just hand you back over to the facilitators to wrap up and just organize any last questions before we close off.
Sir, I don't know if the facilitators. No, I don't know if the facilitators have anything to thank you, but I really, on my behalf and the others who are present here, thank you very much for that very informative and excellent presentations, sir. I'm Lakshmi from Heidel, and I got so many ideas and I got my questions cleared, and thank you very much for your patience and your presence and presentation. Thank you very much.
No problem. I am very happy to help my colleagues in Jamaica and anywhere
same
else.
Here. Thank
and
you.
Also, just want to mention, we have a saying in Trinidad, each one teach one. Teachers, we have some information now. Share it, spread it, make it go viral. Not only COVID could spread information.
Which is right. That's true, Hassan. Okay, somebody asked a question where,
yes.
Sorry, Hassan. Somebody asked us a question pop up about where the reports are sent, they're sent to the school. So you can just ask wherever at the office, the secretary.
Can ask the exam coordinators.
That is correct, because I'm hearing that you have to download it from the ORS. It's not sent like an email.
Yes, but it's there.
Okay, that's great. That means I have to check my school as well, because I have never received any feedback for both CAPE and CSEC. I am just assuming I'm doing the correct thing.
We know we're doing the correct thing, Hassan.
Question, will you be providing a similar workshop for communication studies?
I am not on the examining team for communication studies.
Okay.
So I will not overstep my boundaries and make any comments on that, even from my experience as a teacher of the subject. I just want to point out, the reason why you are getting information about English is that the chiefs of English have took it upon ourselves, the chiefs and assistant chiefs have took it upon ourselves to make ourselves available and try to help the situation. This is not a CXC program. This is of our own volition, because our job, and we get no satisfaction in marking down a child. We want to see when a teacher gives 45, we'll say, yes, that is 45. We don't want to see when a child gets 45, I've given you 25. So this is our contribution to the educational development of our region. So I would, however, suggest that you do convey to your respective ministries and curriculum divisions the need for such workshops, because obviously, if we could do this, others can as well. But I guess it's up to the motivation of the people to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Basarali.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Ms. Rose here again. First, I want to thank you for the time that you took out of your day today to just share all that you have shared with us. I have certainly learned a lot. Some things have been clarified for me. A lot of things have been clarified for me. I just want to express that to you.
You're most welcome, Miss.
We second that. Somebody asked about CAPE. I was asking about the paper 3. You do anything like that? The same English the paper 3? You wouldn't be
If
responsible for that?
What do you mean? The paper 3 English.
Yeah, the
the private
alternate, right?
Actually, I did a workshop on that last month.
We missed that.
Yes. Unfortunately, you did. I did do a workshop on that for students as well. So what's the best thing I could probably do? Well, you see, that's the problem. You know, that you need to actually go through the paper. Yeah, that's yeah.
Maybe we could set another date for that one.
That would be great.
If you have the time.
But that would be well, I know the exam for English is Monday.
Right, for January.
Yeah, and the paper 3 is sometime.
I think it's 27.
Yeah. What I would probably do is probably share the slides for that
Yeah.
workshop.
You can probably send it to
just remind me,
Sana
send me a
K or-
message. Yes,
Sana K or me, and we could pass it on to them.
Yeah, and I
idea.
think I think the slides could guide, you know, a lot. At least more than what you would know right now. At least there's some benefit in that.
I think so.
Mr.
Sir, is the
Basarali, hold on. I wasn't when I was speaking. I wasn't through. I wanted to ask. Do moderators they change a grade?
Of course, they change the score. That's a job.
Okay.
That's what they're paid for.
Okay. Right, because you
Sir,
were saying
January
that the moderators they would look at to see how the teacher would have scored.
That is
the
correct.
candidate.
Now, how it works is this: the moderator remarks, and that is the score the student will get. Then the moderator writes a little report about the quality of marking of the teacher.
Okay, noted. Thank you.
All right.
Sir, if the SBS are this year January exam, is it only multiple choice question?
No, ma'am. As you would have noticed from students who received the timetable, CFC will be giving a full exam. I do not personally believe, from what I have heard from the higher ups, that CXC is interested in doing any multiple choice only again after the fiasco that happened last year or this year. Sorry,
What about the time syllabus and the
Could you please
online
repeat that
learning
again,
and all
sir?
that, sir? That means they are getting paper 2 and paper 1, right?
Yes, for January examinations, all examinations will be getting a paper 1, a paper 2, and if necessary, a paper 3, depending on the candidate.
Oh my God. And then it goes without saying June exam will be paper 1 and 2 as well, right?
But yes, that is what but hold on a minute. That was said. They said that.
Yes, it was said. CXC
It was said in the
fairly
news.
said that. It was broadcasted. January, for the receipt coming up in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Paper 2.
Yes, it's a full exam.
The summer, the only thing is that the exam will be pushed back later.
That is correct.
I think it's
believe
July.
Yes, starting
but
June to
paper
finish
2,
July.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yes, but paper 2 will be included in both the receipt and the summer exam.
And I believe they made that point very clear early on, I believe in October.
Yes, it was said.
And Asan, you sent me some information yesterday. Read that. I can share it with the teachers also.
Yeah.
Please do that, miss, please. Also, do you have any idea, sir, about when is the SBA due? Any idea?
Remember, SBA deadlines are specific to countries. The local registrar makes that. It's CXC has a deadline that they give to the local registrars. Local registrars, based on the volume of SBAs, will then give a deadline for subjects. All right, and just to make like a reference, like countries like Trinidad and Jamaica, where there are many candidates, normally have an earlier deadline than other countries with fewer candidates because less problems will occur. With upload, that is. Yeah. But I believe CXC has stated that they are a date, but I don't know if it's official and accepted by all the local registrars and ministries of education. But your Ministry of Education will forward that information to you in official correspondence. Let me just take a look at something sent from mine, and let me see if they mentioned anything about a deadline on that document. So there's a memo to schools. Nope. No, there is no mention of a deadline as yet. And this is from the 14th of January. So they have not, in my country at least, given an official deadline for SBAs. So I guess probably by next month, we should get information on that.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
All right, I want to thank all the participants, the teachers, the students, and most of all, Mr. Basarale, for doing such a wonderful presentation.
Of course, amen, amen.
We are
Amen to
here
that.
and available. You can email any of us for any information, any clarification as we go along. All right, so we have come to the end. Nashon, is there anything else you want to say?
No, just thank you. I'm so happy when I saw the amount of persons that came on. I feel so good about that. Thank you all for
Yeah,
taking
73 persons. 73 persons.
Yeah, yes.
We were over 100 because some person had to go to Facebook.
Yeah.
Yes.
I heard.
Yeah, so
Thank
I'm
you so
happy
much, sir.
that you all took some time out of your weekend. We all know it's weekend and persons do different things on weekend to stop by. And I'm happy that this workshop could help to clear some misunderstanding here and there. Yes, thanks you all. Thanks, Mr. Basarali.
You're most welcome.
Sorry, can I ask a question? I joined late, but is it a possibility that the presentation can be emailed?
That's
or
what she said, yes.
No,
Yes,
that's what I said. I joined late, so.
Just write your name and your email address.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
And thank you very much, you facilitators too. Thank you so much, Shana and so much. The other
Shana
person,
K.
I think. Okay,
Shana
thank
K,
you so
Shana.
much. Yes, you have given us a good opportunity at the right time so that the students will know more and they will do excellently well in the exam. That's what, considering this COVID situation, that is what is frightening, but still. Thank you so much, facilitators, and thank you, Mr. Basarali.
You're most welcome.
You're welcome.
We have a chance
And
of seeing you, not personally, but on the
Yes.
screen.
And again, I would also like to thank our facilitators, Shana K and Shona, and also the high school and Edwin Allen High School, and don't forget our ICT team who has made this possible. So
Mr. Flemings, that's Mr. Flemings, our ICT
yes, thank you, Mr.
person.
Flemings.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so thank you all. Hope we can do do it next year again. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Okay, everyone.
Have a
Bye.
good
Take
weekend,
care.
everybody. And take care.
You too. Bye-bye. Yes, bye-bye.
Yes. Use mask and sanitization, all those things.
We will.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.